Hello, everyone. My name's Claire. Have you ever found yourself in a ridiculous situation? This happens to me quite often. Friends even joke I'm a walking misfortune. But first place in my personal awkwardness is a story about how I once got stuck in someone else's apartment for 2 whole days with a strange guy who offered this to me. Watch this video to the end and understand why this situation is exactly the most awkward one you've ever heard of. It all started when my best friend Samantha announced to me they were going on a family vacation to sunny Cuba for a couple of weeks. I was very happy for her, because she'd been waiting for this trip all year. Since we'd been childhood friends and her family trusted me, they asked me to look after their apartment and feed their cat while they would be away. Of course, I agreed. Moreover, we lived on a nearby street, and it wasn't difficult for me to come over from time to time. The day before they were going to leave, Samantha and I spent it together. I helped her get ready. We discussed how many new things she would see, and we dreamed that one day, when we got older, we would definitely go on vacation together. We were so busy talking that we didn't notice it was already getting dark outside. We decided this is even for the best. They agreed I would spend the night with them and see them off, feed the cat in the morning, and go away on my business. But everything went wrong from the very beginning. Instead of waking up at night and seeing Samantha and her parents off, I slept like a dog until the morning. How could I not hear them leaving? There was a nice message on the phone from a friend. They didn't want to wake me up at night, so they left, trying not to make any noise while they were packing their things. All the instructions were left for me in a note attached to the refrigerator. It was Saturday, so I decided to get some more sleep, and then carefully study all the recommendations, run errands, and go for a walk with friends. My parents had gone to stay with my grandparents in a town nearby that weekend, so I was on my own. After a good night's sleep, I fed the cat, ate the breakfast cooked for me, and got ready to come out. But when I tried to open the front door, I realized it was closed. Well, that makes sense, I thought. Surely when Samantha and her parents left, they closed the door for security reasons. It's still night, and I'm fast asleep. You never know who wants to drop in for a visit without asking. My friend gave me the keys earlier in the day, so I just had to find them and hurry. I was already late for a meeting with my friends. And suddenly, I realized I had a big problem. The fact is that in the evening, when I was going to visit Samantha, I hadn't taken my backpack, but a small purse with the most necessary things. And the keys, of course, were not among the necessary things. Oops. So, I'm in someone else's apartment, on the 20th floor. The door is locked with a key, and the keys are in my apartment, which is empty, since my parents left for the whole weekend to another city. Just fine. Looking at the time, I realized that Samantha should have already landed in Cuba by now. I immediately dialed her number, hoping she would tell me that there was a spare set of keys hidden somewhere in the cookie jar in the kitchen or under the hall rug. But alas, my hopes were not fulfilled. Samantha sincerely sympathized with me, but she said that no one could help me for sure. She was about to say something else when I heard a sudden noise from the kitchen. It was as if someone had dropped a glass tumbler on the floor, but there was no one else in the apartment. Is there? Except for me and the cat. Well, of course, this prankster climbed on the table and decided to do a little housework. That's what I told myself. But when I got to the kitchen door, I saw a completely different picture. I almost dropped my phone in surprise. A guy I didn't know was sitting on the floor picking up the pieces. When I entered the kitchen, he turned around, gave me a nice wave, and said hello, introducing himself as Chris. What Chris? Where did you come from? I could hear Samantha still talking on the phone, and when I put the phone to my ear, all I could hear were the words cousin, unexpected, at night, and she ended with a cheery, I hope you make friends. Chris, having already got rid of the pieces, stood with a new glass, calmly drinking water and looking at me, smiling. He seemed amused by my reaction. I knew that just looking at each other in silence was kinda stupid. I also introduced myself and said I was a friend of Samantha. Chris said hello again and explained how he got into the apartment. It turned out that he and his parents lived in another state, but planned to enter the university in our city. He was about to start his admission course next week. so he had arrived early to get a little more comfortable in the city and take a walk. And here, so successfully, there was a free apartment. I listened to him and thought about how to get up the courage to tell him, "We definitely won't be able to leave this apartment for the next 2 days." Just in case, I called my mom and asked when they planned to return to the city, in case they could save me from being locked up with a strange guy in the same apartment earlier. My mom scolded me for my carelessness, but promised to return home as early as possible to bring me the keys. I looked in the refrigerator, making sure we had enough food for a couple of days, which means we won't have to starve. I knew I had to tell Chris everything before planning a fun weekend. Chris's reaction was quite unexpected. I thought he would laugh with me at the stupidity of the situation, but he was angry. He yelled at me, saying I was stupid and stupid and stupid. I ruined his whole weekend, and even ruined his date. Well, yeah, I was really the one to blame, but why yell at me for this? Yes, it was a great meeting, nothing else to say. We went to different rooms, resenting each other. So we sat, doing our own business and trying not to intersect even in the kitchen. I heard him on the phone complaining to someone about a headless girl who ruined all his plans. In response, I called Samantha and said that her cousin is a moron who doesn't know how to communicate with girls. I spoke loud enough for him to hear too. By the evening, I was too bored. I ate, slept, watched TV shows, and texted my friends. But the prospect of spending the next day in the same way did not make me very happy. I knew that if I talked to Chris, it would be more fun to watch movies and have lunch together. But I didn't want to be the first to make up. He got angry, so let him apologize. And just as I was thinking about it, he knocked on the door and asked permission to come in. He apologized for his bad behavior, said he just didn't expect to spend the whole weekend locked up. Chris brought some ice cream and suggested watching a horror movie together. He had slept for half a day, and now he didn't know what to do. I didn't argue anymore and agreed. It was even a little like a date. Dark room, light from the screen. We're sitting next to each other on the couch, eating ice cream from the same bucket. Isn't that a little bit romantic in some way? I didn't even think about Chris that way, resenting him all day. And he turned out to be a cheerful, sociable guy. Who knows how to insert a joke in the movie at the right moment, so it wasn't scary. Anyway, the next day we cooked breakfast together and talked almost like best friends. Still, it was a great idea to make up and live together. Otherwise, I couldn't stand another day in complete silence and disguise. I kept glancing at Chris, noting his good looks, strong hands, and smile. And I caught the same interest and studying look on myself. Well, a guy and a girl in a locked apartment. You know, it's not surprising. There was a spark between us. After lunch, he casually asked me if I had a boyfriend and if I'd ever been in a relationship. I was terribly shy, but admitted I'm not very good with guys yet, but I hope the best is yet to come. Then he asked an even more embarrassing question. Had I ever been kissed? Of course, I said no again. And I was just about to change the subject when he suddenly offered to teach me how to kiss. Of course, I was confused at first, and then I thought, why not? He's a cool, good-looking guy, probably more experienced than me. Anyway, I agreed, and he decided not to postpone such a pleasant activity for a long time and kissed me. And maybe this story would have been my coolest memory if it hadn't been for what happened next. Chris and I are sitting on the couch, learning how to kiss, so to speak, when my mom walks in, because she decided to come early and bring me the keys. To say she was in shock is an understatement. Yes, we were frightened, and we jumped away from each other to different sides of the sofa. Of course, my mom told me to get ready to go home right away, where I could expect a serious discussion. Now, I remember the story with a smile. But then, I was terribly ashamed and embarrassed. So, this romantic story ended before it could even begin. Tell me, did something like this ever happen to you? Maybe you often find yourself in awkward situations too. Feel free to share your stories in the comments below this video. If you enjoyed my story, please click the like button. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications not to miss new videos and stories. See you. Bye-bye.